Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CCA Outreach Series. We are so excited today to be joined by Halley Elwell, who is a musician and podcaster, and she is going to share her new work with us. It is Thursday, May 1st, 2025, and we've got some hot new music to share with our community and also a very recently launched podcast series that I think everyone in our community needs to go listen to. It's just fantastic. I was just telling Hallie that I have been absorbing it all over the past few weeks and honestly hours. And I am very touched, moved, and inspired just by hearing the voices, not only your voice, Hallie, but who you've interviewed and how you interviewed them. So I am Erica Klauber. I'm Executive Director of CCA, and welcome, Hallie, to our podcast.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you, Erica.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, first and foremost, I have it here, but it would be great to hear it in your own words as well. If you wanted to give just a little summary about your project, I literally am reading the about on Spotify. I think it sums everything up just to orient everybody to who you are and what you bring to our community.
Yeah. I'm a singer-songwriter and have been doing this since I was a little kid, singing. I was diagnosed with neurofibromatosis when I was about 11, and I was really lonely. I didn't meet anyone else with NF until I was 30, which feels so odd to say, but it's not, I found that that's actually pretty common for a lot of people to feel isolated and not meet other people with their conditions. And I kind of looked around and there's many reasons to do this project, but I found, I really wanted to start putting my music out there and marketing it, and I couldn't get away from people just like needing to know everything about my face and what happened to me, right? And that couldn't just be about the music. And I just realized I was looking around and I didn't see anyone else talking about this stuff. And, at some point you just realize like, okay, I have the resources to create something and create representation that I'm not seeing. So the project is for me. I use the medical term spontaneous mutation. Um, and I decided to put it in an artistic lens and ask, what happens when art or your life spontaneously mutates, and just use that as a jumping point for talking about difference. And yeah, I wrote this bundle of songs, but it became so much more than that. In all the learning I did and all the amazing people I met, that I was like, okay, we gotta talk about this way more. And so it turned into a podcast where I feel so lucky. I got to have these amazing conversations. And I think something about that lens of spontaneous mutation really opened up the conversation in a like less direct way, and allowed people to really reflect on their own lives.
Mm. For sure. I know a lot of reflection is occurring within me just as I, consume and absorb the media. It's really wonderful and it's also enjoyable. So to anyone who's like, oh, I'm not ready for that deep, because I say I am famous for saying I need a comedy. You can also please know that you can just enjoy the music. It is, I love it. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking, how would you describe your music? I'm not a musically
Ooh.
talented person. I love music. But how would you describe your sound, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix of a lot of genres. I, grew up listening to folk music and singer-songwriters. But then, I went and I got a degree in jazz and African American music. And so it's just, for me, it's a wonderful mix of roots music that I make. I'm really inspired by kind of 70s, 60s, 70s songwriters. Um, so,
Good.
just
I
some
feel a little bit better because I was gonna say that. I was thinking
Well,
like
yeah, okay, good. Yeah,
I was
but
there. I knew what I was trying to say, but you said it better. It is. It's like a folk song. I've been very into that lately myself as well. And I love, but there's just a gravelly rockness to it. So there's that in there that I'm picking up on. So okay. Validation
yeah.
felt. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, one question that I really think is important you touched on it a bit to ask our artists out there. I think part of being an artist is allowing vulnerability. You're putting your work out there. So how did that start for you? How did you find music? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I have been singing as long as I can remember. Um, I think it has been, just my voice has been my lifelong friend, and I couldn't even avoid it if I wanted to. I remember going to college and being like, I'm going undeclared because music is very impractical. And I didn't last very long because I was like, okay, I was really depressed without it. So I decided to pursue it, and I'm so glad I did. And it is absolutely, it's a beautiful emotional outlet, creative outlet. But I will say, in preparation for this project, like, I was seeing a therapist for about 2 years leading up to this, because there were so many layers to, like, when we talk about the vulnerability, the level of vulnerability on that podcast that I'm talking about, that I needed help. I couldn't sing my way out of that. You know what I mean? So I will say, I that happened like in a community too, of new friends I met through the facial difference community, as well as a therapist. So a professional helped me.
That's important. That is important. I would say, I guess my question is, when you were younger, was singing something you did very publicly, or did you keep it to yourself, or singing in?
Oh yeah. Um, at first I kept it to myself. Um, but I just love to sing, and I love to sing with other people. And so I always, did the choirs and like to do the solos, and so it was pretty public with it. Was the kid doing the Star Spangled Banner at the basketball games, um, and I took it pretty seriously, and um, enjoyed that. And I will say, throughout that whole process, I was changing, but like, I lived in a really small community, so everybody was kind of just there for the gradual change of my face, and kind of knew about the surgeries. There was like no hiding it. So the story, in that way, I feel really lucky in that I didn't have to explain myself so much. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, yeah. No, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I know a lot of people have this inside them. We've experienced it a lot just at the CCA retreat. We have a talent show, and there's so much talent and there's so much emotion. And we have a few songs that are always performed, always played. And it's such a way for us to feel our feelings through music. And so that's one reason I asked that question, is because just to let people know, if you feel it inside, like, it is a beautiful way to express emotions, is through singing, dancing, movement to music. So thank you for sharing that part of your story. I
Yeah,
think
I believe so strong. I'm a voice teacher, and
Mhm.
this is one of the greatest gifts of my life, to be able to like help people access their voices. And I believe so strongly in this. It's our birthright. I mean, we're born to move and sing and dance and connect with each other in this way. Um, so, just even being curious about it and exploring, um, is, I think, definitely a step in the right direction.
100%. It is. It is. And I'm sure you can attest to it. Like you said, it evolves. Like, you take steps, you start here, and then the next bit opens up and more of yourself opens up, and you discover more of yourself along the journey. So it doesn't have to be perfect the first time. I would imagine that is what an artist would say.
Yes, it is an iterative process for sure. You can find many videos of me all over the internet messing up all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any advice for anyone who struggles to accept criticism or rejection? Anyway, any advice on that topic?
I think that's what music is so great for, like an actual practice, is because it teaches you that uncomfortable space of, sometimes, yeah, there is going to be criticism, and you might mess up, you might be embarrassed. And how are you going to deal with it? Right? Are you going to walk away? are you going to try again? And those are kind of the moments in our lives where I would, maybe call that a spontaneous mutation, where you decided to stick with yourself and try again. And I always try to set those expectations with my students too, if they're going for an audition or something. It's like, this is going to be one of many. The bigger question is like, what do you want to learn from the experience, right? When you go in, and if you go in with that expectation instead of, I need to do perfect, I need everyone to say I did great. Because the fact is, even if you did do great and everyone says you're great and you're perfect and you win, you still have to like get up the next day and do other things. You still have to keep going. So just either way, it's really important to learn that lesson of growth is just you keep going. You keep committing yourself to it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Thank you for that. It might have been a selfish question that I needed to hear. Oh, I love it. Okay. So one other thing I definitely want to address is because this is, again, like I said, I said the date in this outreach series, and I don't always do that because I believe we're in a cultural moment and you are part of this momentum of the adult community. I am telling everyone, I listen to my podcast on Spotify. You look up Spontaneous Mutation podcast. That's how you find it. Right now, there are I believe, 5 episodes out, 2 more coming, and I am enamored. You are talking to some of my favorite people in the whole world, who are adults in the facial difference community. And at this moment in time, I know the adults are not trying. They are coming together. We are forming new collaborations, new spaces. One of them is the Face Out Project with Sora Kasuga. And so there are places and spaces where adults are coming together. And what do you, Halley, think the adult community either needs or wants to say at this moment in time?
Ooh. Um, I think we've needed each other for a long time. We've just needed to find each other and have the resources and the space to do it. And any anything starts with one person having an idea and just pushing forward, and then other people show up because they need it too. I think when you're brave and kind of say, I have this idea, I'm gonna follow it and see what happens. I have no idea. That was definitely the Spontaneous Mutation project for me. It's like, does anybody really want to hear about this? I have no clue, but I feel really driven to do it because, like I said, I don't see anything else happening in this space musically in this way. And so I think what we need is just voices of the people who have this inkling, like, hey, I'm not seeing this and I want to see it. And I don't know, there's so many cool people who are, yeah, they're activating. That's what I was drawn to all the guests, and I asked a lot of people on. And I think, the people who answered my call were the people who were drawn to what I was saying, right? And so it's not always going to be that way. But I feel like the people who need to find you always do. And so at this moment, I think it's just more voices getting ready to share their stories and getting that collective happening.
Everyone is doing something so cool, and that's what I love. And so many people are doing it with the skills, the talents, and the resources that they have. And thinking of our role as a primarily children serving organization, but with this immense community of adults who still come, who still participate and give back. I myself and our organization is looking for ways to amplify those voices to help carve out spaces where adults can have the conversations that adults need to have. And I love what's being done in the community. And I going on record and just saying CCA is so proud to witness the momentum building, and hopefully we can support that from our position in this community. So thank you for sharing your insights on that, and for being in the space, for having the conversations. Because like you said, it starts with people speaking up and saying, I want to be in this space, and then claiming it. So really, really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of what we talk about on the project. It's like, it's owning your own narrative, because if you don't and you just sit back, whoo, the stories out there, the narratives are not kind to us, you know? And so it is really empowering to kind of step up and say, I want to decide what is said about me. Thank you very much. And own that.
Yeah, no, I love that. That was something that when I first learned about your project, I had read on your website, and you said there were a lot of people throughout, your journey that had said, "Oh, we'll do a documentary, or we'll do a piece on you, or we'll, somehow tell your story." And you waited for that moment and said, "No, this is my story to tell, and I'm going to tell it in the way I want." And that is such a powerful choice that you made, and it is such one that I think, I hope, inspires other people to take that time and take that pause and be confident that it is their story to tell.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course, of course. And then, just since we do have a lot of, younger families, our parents of younger kids in our community, I guess I love to ask our adults, what is one thing that if you could give the parents out there who consume this, media that we put out? I'm so proud of those parents, and shout out if you're watching as a parent trying to raise a kid listening to the advice of the adults and the elders in the community. What would you, tell parents today who are trying to raise resilient, empowered, you know, kids who can claim their own space and tell their own stories?
Mm, I love that. I think things are changing so quickly. Like you said, Erica, about these conversations that it's almost like thinking of this as a collaboration because when you're the kid in the hospital, it's like you can feel your parents worry. You can feel that, whether even if you have the best parent in the world, the whole system kind of sets up, makes you feel like a burden because you have to take time off, you have to, whatever. And I think that empowerment, I think for me, I just, I'll just stay in my lane with creativity, opening up as many channels as possible for, the human in your life to figure out what they love, who they are outside of their condition, and creating that story for themselves. Because like I said, it's just like, and like we talk about on the podcast, it's just as simple as reading your kid a fairy tale is like being thoughtful of that. And we're like, did this just, villainize my child? And, it's little things that we're asking folks to check in on. And I don't know, I think it just takes work. So it's almost like a collaboration you're having with your child as you two grow together. I think there is this thought that someone has to do it perfectly and figure it out. But like we said, this conversation is changing. The medical landscape is changing. Everything's changing. So it's like, what do we each do to center ourselves? And for me, like I said, that's creativity, making sure I have a channel for all the things that you experience in this life, right? Did that answer it?
Yeah, no, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Advice
Thank you so
is
much.
hard.
It is. And I think, it is. I am one of those people who looks and wants for advice. So I tend to ask that question. So thank you
Right?
for letting me put you on the spot.
It's so funny that, I try to steer from it because it's like, I wish someone had just said, trust yourself to me so
Mm,
many times when I was questioning everything, you know?
I do. I do. And that that touches a nerve. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. Well, I definitely want you to play us a song. You have graciously agreed to do that live on our recording this morning. So, but before that, is there anything else that you would like to share with the CCA community, before we move into some song and some artistry?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on and kind of amplifying this project. And I think I I would just say, if you feel inspired, or maybe there was something that wasn't said that you really would have loved to hear about, it's just to speak up and feel, I don't know, I just, like I said, I think this creative channel is, and finding our own stories is going to be a really powerful next chapter. So I'm just really excited to see whoever's listening to this, whatever yours is.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel you. I feel there is momentum, there's change in this collective urgency and desire for it. So thank you for being a part of it. And again, they can find you. What is your website where they can find you?
Yeah. So my website is halswellmusic.com. It's HALSWELL music.com. And yeah, you can sign up for my mailing list, and find the album there and find the podcast there as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm telling you, everyone listening, do it. Go enjoy. All right. I will let you take it from here. You can introduce the song and take it away.
Okay. So this is the first single that came off of the record. It's called Dear Lucy, and I wrote it about Lucy Greeley, who wrote the book Autobiography of a Face. And I think, I might be wrong, I should fact check myself, but I think this was the first memoir that came out from a woman that I saw, about having a facial difference. And so for me, it was just, man, I wish I had known you. I wish you were still here so that we could have this conversation. So that's what it's about. Dear Lucy, I want to take you out for coffee. I want to chat about the world, about the pills they gave out like candy. I want to talk about mirrors and not recognizing your own face, about the whistles and the bars, sheer will and nauseous grace, and give my thanks for what I now see. We are miracles and adapters, great thinkers and inventors. If not beautiful, then certainly attractive. They can't keep their eyes off us after all. Dear Lucy, dear Lucy. I want to tell that interviewer to shut up about kisses and sexuality, learn something about disability. But maybe you wouldn't even know or think you were disabled. A lot has changed since you've been gone. A whole movement that includes us if we want. If we want. We are miracles and adapters, great thinkers and inventors. If not beautiful, then certainly attractive. They can't keep their eyes off us after all. Dear Lucy, dear Lucy. And maybe the professor and you would write red lines through my words and tell me I got it all wrong. But mostly I'd like to tell you, Lucy, you were my beginning. Sincerely, anomaly.
Thank you so much. I just got an performance for one, and it will be remembered forever. And it is so gratefully received. And I can't obviously wait to share it with everybody who will watch it online. It was Beautiful, hauntingly beautiful. Thank you so, so much for sharing
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, my pleasure.
Wonderful. Well, don't have a lot of words to follow that up. It said so much. So thank you again for taking the time. I know we spoke about it before. It is a lot to make a project and then promote said project and meet with everybody who wants to meet. So we appreciate it at CCA and we can't wait to see you again, hopefully soon. There will be more opportunities to collaborate. And I encourage everyone watching to reach out to follow Lucy, look for her, not Lucy, said Lucy, follow Hallie. Follow
Look
Hallie
for
and
Lucy too.
Lucy too. Hey, we need to learn the history as well. Absolutely. So, but thank you very, very much for joining us today. And we look forward to staying in touch and continuing this conversation that is igniting so many of us.
Awesome. Thank you very much.